Hello, beautiful beings. Welcome back to Opulence with Gia. Thank you so much for your presence today. I have another amazing guest I brought on tonight. Her name is Rachel Hardy. And if you're new here, it's your first time and you don't know who I am, my name is Gia and I'm a clear channel for Mother Agua and the Marcadians. And if you're curious to know what that is, all the links are linked below in the description for you as well. And Rachel Hardy has been a guest that I'm a total fangirl of because a year ago, me and Rachel actually worked together on somatic healing, on astrology, and clearing out the nervous system. She ended up also teaching me the Akashic records. And since then, I've been a total fan of Rachel because her work is basically I would say the most beautiful, harmonious blend of physical and spiritual, because she basically replenishes and nourishes the physical being so your your soul, can habit in it and come across with clarity. And she's also not only a somatic practitioner, she's also a astrologer, an intuitive coach and mentor that's assisting many of us out there that are clear channels and are highly advanced, esteemed individuals looking for more, I would say, clarity and more space to hold light and space for wealth. So she's the expert when it comes to nervous system and money, and how nervous system is correspondence with our nervous system. And that will be our topic today. And I know that was a mouthful, so I'm going to take a sip of water. We know how the internet and these platforms love to be formal. They want an intro, but you know me, if you're my audience, that I'm very unhinged. So, however, back to Rachel. So welcome, Rachel. Welcome. It's a huge pleasure to have you and a huge honor. I am going to start off with the icebreaker by asking you, what is your current favorite food?
Thank you, Gia. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. Wow. I feel super honored to be here. And favorite food. I've been feeling like eating really simply lately. Like my body's just wanted super simple food. And what I'm loving lately is avocado, which has always been a food I've loved, but lately I'll just eat like avocado and cucumber slices, and it is like the best thing ever. A little bit of sea salt on top. It's amazing.
Oh, that actually is like, do you dip the cucumbers into the avocado like a nacho?
More often I'll just like slice the avocado and I'll have like slice of avocado, cucumber, little sprinkle of salt, and like eat it.
Combo, like a
It's
combo.
amazing. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm actually gonna try that out. That sounds
Yeah,
delicious. Absolutely delicious.
it is.
So yes, and you've been doing quite a bit of traveling too at the moment.
Yes, I have.
Where are you
Uh,
currently?
So I am currently in Buenos Aires. So I have actually been traveling full time since September of last year. We're recording this in what, March, is it?
Yes.
So what, 7 months, something like that. So yeah, I left home, New Mexico last September, and I spent some time in Ecuador and then Colombia, and I'm now in Buenos Aires, and I'm here for couple more weeks and then I'm heading to Uruguay. Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's fabulous. Was this all pre-planned or are you just picking your destinations as you go?
It was not pre-planned. I kind of just know the next place I'm going. And this is something I get asked a lot, and you'll completely understand, Gia. I think your audience will get it too. It's kind of funny because I keep getting asked, like, how do you decide where to go? How do you decide? But honestly, I don't feel like I decide. It's more like when it's ready, it just drops in and I just know what's next. And I usually just know one, maybe two destinations in advance. I'm feeling Bolivia after Uruguay at the moment. That's kind of in there, but to answer your question, no, it was not planned beyond. I knew I was heading to Ecuador first, and then I kind of took it from there.
I love
So,
that. Yeah.
yeah.
I love how you walk your talk. Like you're all about your inner guidance, your inner compass, trusting your body, making your body feeling
Mm-hmm.
comfortable enough to, expand the risk tolerance, I would say,
Mm-hmm.
within
Mm-hmm.
the
Yep.
physical body. And I
Yep.
remember when I originally came to you, it was a very, now I look back a year into it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like what a silly Gia version of me. What a silly version of me. 'Cause I remember I came to you and I'm like, I'm gonna die. I don't have money. And like I can't handle money. I'm in this job. I don't like it. I just feel like it's never enough. I'm like constantly like I just feel like I'm on like the edge all the time with my body.
Mm-hmm.
Like my body was so uncomfortable. I just
Mm-hmm.
couldn't hold my
Mm-hmm.
ground ever. And I used to shake before buying
Mm-hmm.
like a $2 coffee because I just had such lack kind of imprinted in my physical being. Like it wasn't feeling safe enough to grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember
Totally.
when I came to you, that completely transformed for me. It
Yeah.
completely transformed for me. So, how do you use all your skills, your intuitive gifts to help the nervous system reset itself for expansion and growth? And of course, to release the trauma.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I was just feeling so much love for you when you were saying that about the silly version of yourself. Like we do that, right? We look back at the past versions of ourselves and we go, "Oh my gosh, that was so whatever it was." And yet it's perfect and it's all a perfect part of the journey, as I know you agree and know. But one thing that I'm just thinking about as you were describing that is um sometimes when we feel like we are in that really challenging place, like you describing yourself a year ago, and you're like, oh my gosh, I was like this and this. Sometimes what's so interesting is that that's actually when so much upgrade is actually happening, or kind of like right there in the wings, waiting in the wings, we might say, in the field, like ready to come through. But our physical body is just needing to recalibrate it around it a bit. And so I think what I'm trying to say here is like, I hear you kind of talking about this past version of yourself and like, oh, I was so silly. And I get what you mean. And I'm like, first of all, like, okay, you were awesome. Like you came into work and I'm like, oh my gosh, who is this amazing person who is like channeling so much freaking wisdom and light and power and like radiating with just so much amazingness. So that was already you. And I think that, and you can let me know if this resonates, but I think that you were in this place of expansion where your physical body hadn't quite caught up to all that was happening and needed to actually settle into feeling safe with the expansion that was coming through. Is that accurate for you so far?
Yeah, 110%, like 100%. And I remember
Yeah.
as soon as I joined your container, which I think was called Calibrate at that time,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Calibrate,
Yep.
and miracles just started happening with me. Like
Mm.
things just started like showing up. Like I'd wake up some morning and I'd be like, because I was still in corporate at that time, I'd be like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, like attending this meeting. Like, why is this meeting on my calendar?" And it would cancel.
That's awesome.
I, that's great. That worked out for me. And I remember as well, I did a massive trip to India,
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
which was life-changing for me too,
Yep.
because I was
Mm-hmm.
feeling so safe and confident in my body. My nervous
Mm-hmm.
wasn't all jackled up that I went to India with so much clarity. I ended up learning so much more and having such
Yeah.
a fantastic experience. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I truly feel like because of the somatic healing and the deep nervous system and reset work we did together, I was able to bring forward Mother Agua.
Yeah. This is so amazing.
That was
So, so
expansion.
cool. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was expansion for me. That's what it was. It
Yeah.
was just that I was
Yep.
so caught up in distractions, and I was so
Mm-hmm.
caught up of, oh, what it will look like if I change something. What will
Mm-hmm.
happen to
Mm-hmm.
me? Oh my gosh, like what will happen to me if I change? I was really caught up on that. And
Yeah.
having a relaxed nervous system, it not only expanded me to that, next level of ascension, but even the way I handled money, and I do till date, it's I view it as an ascension tool. Like it has nothing to do with
Yeah.
my needs now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Need money. It's just there
Yeah.
for my expansion. It's there to give me more options. It's basically just here to hang out and have a great time with me.
Yeah. That's so beautiful because what's interesting about money is it's our expansion tool, and it's also on the 3D plane, it's tied in with our survival. And so it's got both pieces to it. And that's why it can hook us, for lack of a better word, when we're um, when there is trauma, especially that needs to be cleared. That's why it can have such strong hooks, because money is so tied into survival. That's how we pay our bills. It's how we get food. It's how we pay our rent, whatever, mortgage. So it's like it runs this spectrum from the very basic survival needs to, like you say, the expansion and being able to be a partner in our growth, in our evolution, in our expression. And so I think that's why it's so powerful to, well, to heal our relationship with money, obviously, because we don't want to be in the survival end
Yes.
of the story.
Yeah.
We know we're taken care of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
I understand what you're saying here. It's just, the survival part gets us all tangled up in the nervous system.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it is. It gets us all tangled up. And I feel like that is where usually when people, like you said, are at that like ascension point or at that expansion point, another level, the nervous system goes, wait, what about A, B, C, and
Yep.
D?
Yep. 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 Exactly.
And
Yeah.
then that's where your somatic gifts and your intuitive gifts step in. Because I remember even in the group, we would have so many shadows that would come out. It was like
Mm-hmm.
suppressed memories that you consciously, I was not aware of, but they
Mm-hmm.
were
Mm-hmm.
sitting so deep in me and they were just coming out as my nervous system was starting to respond to me in
Yeah.
that collaboration and regeneration. It was just pouring out of me. And then I remember also in our one-on-ones, I would feel like I'm not in my body. I constantly felt like I was not in my body for so many sessions because my nervous system was like, I can't handle anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, stop putting this in me and stop putting this in me. And as far as my channel goes too, like my intuitive gifts as well, I might look back now, I'm like, yeah, of course my spirit was jumping out of my body because my spirit's like, no, I want space. And my body's
Mm-hmm.
like, no, no, let's first, go fix our car. Right? Let's just go fix our car first, and then we'll think about things later. And like, I don't want to, and so forth. But what also I love about your entire method of somatic healing is that it's not linear
Mm-hmm.
and it's
Mm-hmm.
not limited. Like, because you're such a gifted, because you're also a clear channel, right? I think it's almost
Yeah.
a service to say, oh, you're intuitive now. Because you're at, you're at that point where it's flowing, like you're a full-on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think when, especially with our work too, the way you respond and personalize things for everyone's nervous system to feel safe for their growth and expansion is something I don't see. Because
Mm.
oftentimes, if I were to go to a healer or so forth, they just follow their process.
Mm.
Especially when it comes to the physical being, like the physical body. Oh, this is the method, this is the process, and this is how it's going to work. Even though they've labeled themselves holistic or well-being or intuitive, whatever it is, they're still working, I'm going to say very matrixy. very
It's a
functional.
challenge, right? We're here in this world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, was there more? I have
Oh,
a
but
couple
like
of
that's
thoughts
a
about that, but
heavy
I don't want to
person I've really
cut you
realized
off.
working with you.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, she doesn't really have this like rules that would like she's gonna follow with everyone. It's really personalized because everyone's
Hmm.
trauma is individual too.
Exactly. Yeah. And the healing journey is so individual. And yeah, that's definitely something I'm super, super passionate about, is not trying to fit ourselves into boxes or paths that aren't aligned with exactly what's truly happening. And it's so easy to do that. With all of the healing practices we get and we hear, oh, I need to do this, I need to meditate, I need to do that, and go, oh, I should be doing this. Maybe, and my journey is going to be unique. But to go back to a couple things you said, yeah, you mentioned the stuff that would just come up kind of spontaneously.
Yeah.
And there's a couple important things about that. When we create the conditions in the nervous system to feel safe with what's there, then whatever's there that has been trying for our whole lives to come out and be felt gets to be felt. And
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily have to be a big dramatic thing when that happens. Sometimes we have these ideas that, oh, if I let the trauma come up and be felt, it's gonna be this huge dramatic process. Sometimes it's as simple as like these tears just need to move and the energy just needs to get to release. And the body needs to be able to feel um, a different option than keeping it buried. This energy just needs to feel safe to be present and to be felt. And that sounds so simple when I say it, but it's like, if on a nervous system, if it doesn't actually feel safe to feel the thing, we're not going to be able to feel the thing, no matter how much work we do in trying to remember or trying to, journal, or all the wonderful things we might try to do to access stuff. It all comes back to, does my nervous system feel safe enough in this moment here on March 8th or whatever it is, to be present with the sensations of what's going on? And when it can, a lot of energy can move really easily and really quickly. And it doesn't even have to be, kind of this big drawn out process necessarily. It's like, oh, that energy gets to be felt. It's okay. It's safe for me to feel that and be present. And often something can complete in a way that needed to be completed, which the body knows how to do. Our minds don't necessarily know, but the body has got this wisdom of how to organically move energy and process and release. We've just got to create the conditions and the space and the presence to feel safe to what's there. And then it gets to move.
I love that. I really like that because I feel like a lot of people are trying to do so much. They're
Yeah,
actually taxing out their nervous system more.
totally.
Yeah, it's
Totally.
like they've made it a workout to ascend. It's not a workout.
Yeah. We come by it honestly because we want to so much, right? Like, we want so much to live the life that we're here for and create everything and expand and feel and be the amazing beings that we're here to be. And so it's like, oh, sometimes there's this tendency to want to work so hard to get there because that's what we know how to do, is we know how to work hard. But
Exactly.
yeah,
I
it's
feel
not
like
it.
we both can resonate on this too. It's that the more you do, the more you end up in your head.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah.
So it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you're journaling to feel great, if you're doing yoga to feel great, if you're going, you're still doing. You're
Yeah.
actively putting these commands into your brain constantly. And guess what? You're shooting out of the body. You're leaving the body when that's happening. Because I was
Often.
guilty of
Yeah.
that. That was
Yeah.
me. That was a
Yeah.
year ago. I was doing a bunch of things and I realized that no, it's just acceptance and allowance.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And of course, obviously, we can do all those things in a way that is present to them. But to your point, you're right. So it's so easy to think, oh, what's the thing I need to do? I need to do more. I need to do more yoga, more journaling, more meditation. And it's that efforting without the space and the connection to what's actually here and the ability to have a safe space for what's actually there. That often is just that little missing piece that can allow all of it to integrate in a different way, that can actually allow the practices to be a supportive expression of what my energy needs rather than trying to do something. So it's hard to almost get the words around this because, of course, all these practices are wonderful in their place when they're integrated with who we are, as you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think the nervous system too, because I always say this, it's a beautiful, trendy word. That's because
it
everything
is.
is
I know.
really trendy, like everything.
Yep.
Like now the new word is embodiment. How
Yep.
do you embody that, right?
Yeah.
And
What does that mean?
what does that mean? And people again have made it another job.
Totally. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
embodiment literally is just your allowance and acceptance to your sovereignty.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's a great way to put it. Yep.
That's it. You're embodied. I'm not trying to be a channel. I'm just a channel. Like
Yeah.
Rachel, you're not trying to be a somatic healer, an astrologer, and be this magnificent person that, understands the body. Like that's just who you are. That's just a frequency you radiate.
Yeah.
That's your embodiment and that speaks. And that's the same thing with money, I find, in the nervous system too. And I'm sure you can extend more on this, but like from my personal experience, it's like, okay, you're trying to boost your income. You're trying to, get
Mm-hmm.
that 10K month, let's just say. That's your goal
Mm-hmm.
in your
Mm-hmm.
business. And you're sitting there and you're thinking, I don't have clients. I don't have clients. My goal is 10K. I don't have clients. I don't have clients. You are constantly, repeatedly telling your body it's just not available.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
why would the nervous system give you any kind of bandwidth to expand and grow to that 10K now?
Such a good point because what you're what you're touching on here is that our minds and our thoughts are very connected, right? And we've been talking a lot about or dropping out of the mind and into the body. And at the same time, we also get to work with these very active, brilliant minds that we have and notice what are the thoughts I'm replaying. Because yeah, it's a two-way street. Those thoughts that I'm repeating are going to send information into my nervous system all day long. So I'm going to be aware of that. And at the same time, I'm going to know that there's also a whole world going on that isn't my thoughts, and know that I want to create the space and the capacity on a body level, on a feeling level, on a nervous system level to hold and expand and allow more energy in and allow that to be okay, because that's where often where things can get a little dicey, and we see this thing where like maybe you expand and it's like, oh woohoo, this is amazing, and then there's like some kind of like pullback or backlash, or maybe the money suddenly disappears, like you brought it all in and then magically like the thing comes that kicks it out. If we don't feel safe holding the new amount of energy and the new frequency, like we were talking about earlier, if it doesn't feel safe in the body to hold that frequency, unconsciously, we're going to find a way to kick it out. It may be through something magically happening so that it runs out. It may be through what we might call self-sabotage, which that's another whole topic we could go into, but often like what we call self-sabotage, there's actually like protective mechanisms going on under the surface. Like our nervous system is trying to protect us from something that doesn't feel safe. And it's wanting to stay in a place that feels comfortable and familiar, even if that's what we consciously don't want. I
Yeah.
hope I'm making sense. We're kind of jumping around a few different topics here.
Yeah, I know, but again, my audience is comfortable with my unhinged
They'll
brain.
get it. They'll get it.
They'll
Yeah.
get it. And if you don't, leave us a comment, we'll explain it.
Yeah.
And also, there's a new moon coming up in Pisces. Me and Rachel were talking about this. We are a little in delusional mindset right now. Hard to find human words. Should we telepathically do this podcast? It would have been much more easier on both of us and everyone listening too. Yeah, I literally got out of breath doing the intro, so I understand.
Yeah, I can see you creating a telepathic podcast. I don't know if that exists, but you would totally be the one to do
I'm
that.
gonna have to because I,
Yeah.
I literally have so much to say. I don't have words
Yeah.
for it though. Like even right now, I have so much to say, but I don't have
Mhm.
words for it, and it's really hard. It's so funny because my entire design is to provoke thought. So I'm meant to
Mhm.
speak like on global stages and have that speaker and have that transmission come through my voice and all forth. And I'm just sitting here and thinking, I don't like words.
I just had a thought. Do we want to drop you into your body right now and let you
Yes. Oh my gosh. I would
process a bit?
actually, yes,
Would that be helpful?
that
Okay,
would be
cool.
so helpful. Let's do this.
Because we get bottlenecked sometimes, and that's kind of another whole topic, but our nervous system has so much going on that there's like a bottleneck that happens in the processing.
Hmm.
Yeah. So as you sit here and I see you just put your hand to your heart, and maybe it's okay if I guide you just a little bit and a little bit of dropping in. Yeah. Seeing the eyes close down and looked like the breath just shifted a little bit right there and maybe deepened or just expanded a little differently. So I'll invite you to just notice that feeling of the hand against the chest right now. And as you feel the seat and feel the spine, just notice what you're aware of in this moment, whether it's sensations, feelings, thoughts, the breath right there. What are you aware of? And as you take a moment with this, I'll just invite anybody listening who wants to participate that they could just feel into this as well. Just noticing what's present, sensations, feelings, thoughts in this moment, and giving space to all that. And as we give space to whatever is there, a couple things happen. If there's judgments going on, which often there are for us cute little humans, we can get a little bit of loosening around any judgment, around whatever is happening or not happening. And any sensations, anything going on in the body might just have a little bit more space to be present. So if there's some energy moving, if there's some kind of quality or texture or whatever you're feeling that's present, giving space to whatever is there can allow it to be here, can allow you to be present with it, which is part of what we're up to, and can also allow it to move. And I'll also just mention that if it feels challenging to feel into the body or to feel anything, that's okay too, because there's lots of good reasons why anyone listening might or might not be feeling stuff. So there's nothing that you should be feeling, but I'll just invite you to notice what's there. And Gia, in your own time, I'll invite you to share anything you want to share that you notice.
Thank you. That was very calm.
Yeah, cool.
very, very calming. Number one, I didn't realize how much I was actually not in my body. I didn't because I just been running around since morning, running errands, and then, I just munched down lunch in my car,
Yeah.
home, chugged a bunch of water, popped my laptop open, and yeah, and little did I know I was gonna meet with some, but I could feel like my digestion a lot, like
Mm.
all the water
Mm-hmm.
almost like moving in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I got very aware of my digestion. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
and all of a sudden I felt really tired.
Mm-hmm.
Nap
Mm-hmm.
almost. That's why I started like yawning a lot more. And
How was that to feel? Did that feel okay to feel the tiredness?
it did. I almost
Mm-hmm.
felt like my body was like stop working.
Mm-hmm.
Because my mind, it wants, again, the mind and the body are, kind of, I'm gonna say clashing, right? Because the mind is like, oh, tasks, checklist.
Yeah.
The body's like, no, hug a tree,
Mm.
drink coffee slowly,
Mm.
relax. So I think yeah, I think the mind needed to take a little bit back seat now. And I'm
Mm.
nothing now after recording this podcast.
Awesome. Our work is done. No.
That was beautiful. But like any tips or tricks on how you can keep this
Mhm.
in, being present in your body, feeling going? Calm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's so interesting, isn't it? Because even when we're on a path where we're doing so much of this embodiment work, like we've still got our minds running around and doing all the things and jumping out. And then there's these moments where it's like, oh, I'm not really in my body. So one of the biggest things that I think is so important to start with is that acceptance and neutrality around exactly what is, which includes and starts with that moment when we recognize, oh, I'm out of my body. That's where it could be easy to go into a judgment right there. Oh, look at me, I'm out of my body. And immediately we're fighting ourselves. When we can start with the neutrality and the space and the compassion for whatever is present. And that's one of the big things I think that this nervous system work really helps people with a lot is being able to find that compassion for ourselves in a different way. Because when we understand, like there's really good reasons, like physiological reasons why I'm out of my body so much. There's really good reasons why I have done the patterns that I always do with money. It's not just about me, whatever we might say, having a lack of willpower, not wanting it enough, whatever the coachy thing is out there. Like there are legit reasons that your nervous system is doing exactly what it's doing. And our nervous systems evolved to protect us first and foremost and to keep us safe. And when something in my physical experience doesn't feel safe, even if I'm not conscious of that or not conscious of what it is, my nervous system is going to jump into some kind of reaction or way of managing in the best way it knows how. And that might mean whoop out of my body, or whoop shut down, or tiredness, or a little bit of a freezy response, as an example. So all that to say, when we're talking about how can we stay in our body, I think a most important thing is to start with acceptance, compassion, neutrality, which can be supported by remembering there's really good reasons for whatever is going on with me and for whatever has been going on that I might have felt like I was fighting against for my whole life. Why am I constantly in this? Why have I done so much healing work, but I still keep going into this thought pattern or this reaction? There's good reasons. And getting what's going on in our nervous system can sometimes light that up in a way that just brings so much compassion. So first piece would be neutrality around whatever is. That's going to allow you that space to be with whatever it is. And trauma was about too much too fast in the nervous system for it to process. When trauma gets stuck in the body, it's like there was too much energy somehow happening that the body wasn't able to integrate and process and move through. And I'm using a definition of trauma here that is about not necessarily about the event, but about the way it gets stuck in the body. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That means it might be some huge thing, and it might be some smaller thing that we might go, oh, why should that have affected me? But when our nervous systems don't have the space and the capacity to fully process something and integrate it, it's going to get stuck. And it's going to get stuck as trauma and kind of keep replaying itself because the body is trying to work out something that it didn't get to work out at the time of the event. So the point here is that when we can create neutrality around what is, that allows us to create space and like literal presence around what is happening in my experience right now. And that space is going to actually allow that energy to move in a way that it may not have gotten to because it all got kind of stuck or jammed in, for example, a traumatic event. So a couple of the most helpful things we can do for ourselves when we're holding this intention of the embodiment journey: the space for what is, the presence, slowing down, simply that pause to give space to what is here in my experience is a huge part of allowing that energy to move and release.
Mhm.
And then the other thing that I think is so important goes back to recognizing that my journey is unique. It's not going to look like someone else's, and trying to push myself into a practice or the thing I think I should be doing is rarely going to be the answer. It's going to be about coming into the truth of what am I actually experiencing? What is my physical system, my nervous system actually experiencing in this moment? And again, giving space to that, which allows that energy to move and not be so stuck. And that's like the foundation for allowing this energy to release. When it can be safe to be, then it can move. As long as we're kind of disconnected from what is, as long as we're not present to what's actually in my experience, that energy can't actually be felt and processed.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to experience the experience.
You have to experience the experience. Yeah.
Have to
Yeah.
experience. Yeah, absolutely. Wow, that was so beautiful. And yeah, honestly, like my body is really, really relaxed. And again, this just goes to show again your expertise and I think your coding as well. Like you have certain
Mm-hmm.
codes when it comes to
Mm-hmm.
somatic healing and astrology and so forth. Because as I said, like soon as I stepped into your container, your program, your frequency already started doing the work
Mm.
without even
That's
me
awesome.
starting with you physically. So I think
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like I think there is a special coding here because I'm very relaxed right now. I think my voice has also changed.
Mm-hmm.
It's become very
Mm-hmm. Yep.
settled
Step.
and like more deep and more grounding, I would say. It sounds much more grounded. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yes, because in in human design, I'm a generator and I don't know when to
Uh-huh.
start generating. So
Uh-huh.
I'm still practicing that. But Rachel, this has been such a beautiful, grounding, and magical conversation. And thank you so much for coding my podcast with your frequency. I'm sure my listeners will adore you as well. But please do let us know that where we can find you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you can find me on my website, rachelhardy.com. And I have a YouTube channel for astrology, and I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. And I imagine we can pop those links in the notes. I'll get to those.
Everything will be linked below.
Beautiful.
If you want to connect further with Rachel. And once again, Rachel, thank you so much for being on the podcast with me as a beautiful, honorable guest. And thank you to all our listeners. And I'm sure you've enjoyed it. Please let us know and like, comment, and subscribe on how you resonated and what insights you had and how you felt during that beautiful practice that Rachel walked us through. Sending you all so much love. Have a very golden, blessed day.